Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bounding Babble. I know it's been a couple days. John and I were a little busy, but we are back, and we are here to talk with you good people for about an hour or so on the day's pop culture news. Probably the biggest topic we're going to handle today is DC fandom, because we have a lot of good stuff, kinda, and a lot of bad stuff to go through. So first, I want to say hi to the chat. What's up, Dr. Alex Stein, which I know is Lopter. What's going on, buddy? Bunny with a keyboard. Always a pleasure to see you. And I'll let John know that you're not feeling well, that you're under the weather, and that sucks, Bunny. I hope you get better really fast, because being sick is never fun. YouTube me, good morning. Happy to catch you at the top of your day. Nerdigans, what's going on? I just want to give a shout out to Nerdigans real quick. She turned me on to a really great manga anime sort of story that will go up probably immediately after we're done here, because I was writing it in the lead up to going live. So thank you very much to Nerdigans for that. Also check out Nerdigans' channel. It's fantastic. Revuel, what's up, buddy? Hail. Father Christopher Miller, where's the boss? The boss is currently getting in some great family time down in, I think they're in Florida. Either way, the boss is out with the wife and the baby. So until then, you've got me. And then Porg, what's going on? Always a pleasure to see you, buddy. So, oh yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, seriously, thank you, Nerdigans. That was a great tip to put us onto. And of course, you'll have credit in the article and everything. So hopefully you get a couple followers, a couple viewers out of that. So today, it's Monday. It's a pretty beautiful Monday, if you can't already tell by the fact that I can barely see, or that I'm half illuminating myself, Phantom of the Opera style. It's beautiful, it's sunny, and we have a lot of sort of news to talk about, a lot of DC news. So I figured, obviously, in case anybody hasn't been to a Bounding Babble before, this is mostly a user-driven thing. I want to talk to you guys. I want to hear your thoughts. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. Obviously, I bring up fandom just because there was so much coming in with it. We got trailers, we got Jim Lee's awful executive decision, which we'll probably cover first. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about. But then, of course, like I was talking with Nerdigans a second ago, there's also other stuff always going on. So if you guys have anything in particular you want to talk about, throw it down in the chat, let me know, and we can talk about it. I'd love to. So until then, I figure let's start with fandom, and let's start with the thing that is at the top of everybody's mind this morning, which is this. DC has officially dropped the American way from Superman's classic logo. Sorry, I had to take a drink of water. So, yeah, truth, justice, in the American way, the classic thing Superman's always fought for. Jim Lee announced during DC Fandom this past weekend that they're officially dropping the American way from Superman's motto, and it'll now just be truth, justice, and a better tomorrow, in order to, quote, better reflect the global storylines that we are telling across DC, and to honor the character's incredible legacy of over 80 years of building a better world. Superman has long been a symbol of hope who inspires people from around the world, and it is that optimism and hope that powers him forward with this new mission statement. So, yeah, this is the article I wrote this morning for Bounding into Comics. I kind of just go into the fact that the American way was not originally part of Superman's motto. It used to be just truth and justice. And then around 1942, as World War II was ramping up and we needed to boost spirits at home, Max Fleischer added the American way to that slogan for his cartoons, which you can see a shot of here, which actually looked pretty great for like a 1940 show. I would highly recommend everybody go watch like 5 minutes of it. Maybe not all of it, because again, it is like 1940 storytelling, so it is a little quaint, to put it nicely, but it's still worth taking a look at. But anyway, that's when they added the American way, and they've pretty much kept that for all of Superman's history since then. There have been a couple moments here and there throughout Superman's recent history. I know Superman Returns, the one with Brandon Routh, there's a scene where Superman has returned, and everybody in the Daily Planet office is sort of going, oh, we got to write the articles. We got to go. And Perry White says something about like, we've got to run the headline, truth, justice, all that other stuff. And that was like a big ding, because it's like, you already did 2/3 of the motto. Why wouldn't you just go for the rest of it? And then there was, of course, back, what era was this? I want to say post-Infinite Crisis, or yeah, so maybe around like 2008, 2009-ish. There was that really weird Superman Grounded storyline where he renounced his American citizenship and started walking across the nation to better connect with the American people. And it was just bad. It was just dumb. But the biggest thing I personally have against changing the slogan of the American way, and of course, we all saw when they sort of tested the slogan in Superman Son of Kal-El #1, we had truth, justice, and a better world, which is so close to what it is now that I'm pretty sure they were just like testing the water to see how everybody would feel. But yeah, my issue with changing this is that Superman's an American character. He's always been an American character. He's like, when you think American superhero, you think Batman, Spider-Man, Superman. Not necessarily in that order, but I know those are the top three. And to just, and yeah, Superman is an American hero, and landed in Kansas, raised by the Kents. It's just obviously they're trying to distance themselves from the fact that he is American, or to be seen as anything pro-American for fear that it's imperialist or whatever. And it's just, you're trying far too hard. I saw somebody on Twitter say, I could believe John would, like, if we want to talk about like the actual story, I could believe John would say this because he's sort of that millennial Zoomer. He's the kind of kid who would be raised today on TikTok and Twitter and probably would have pronouns in his bio, but not Clark. Clark's not the kind of person to kind of like go with, like, I don't know. It's just so weird and so out of character. I don't personally like it. I know John would have a lot more thoughts, and so would Drew if he were around. But to me, it's just, and like, yeah, obviously, like, I hate the fact that they're trying to remove his Americanism or his American background because he's American, and there's nothing wrong with being an American. Like, let's just get that out there, like, right off the bat. Yeah, exactly. Father Christopher Miller is trying to do it since Superman Returns, which is that truth, justice, and the yada yada line. Yeah, let's build a better tomorrow today. It's like a Lexcorp slogan. It really is. Doesn't it feel so? It feels so corporate. It just feels like the generic thing that all the bad guys have. Remember in Ant-Man when Darren Cross is showing off that video about how the Yellow Jacket suit is going to be used as like mini warfare to help America like kill their enemies faster. That's the kind of like slogan this is the slogan that would be in front of that promotional video, like truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Like, it feels so fake. It feels like you're trying too hard. It doesn't feel authentic. Whereas truth, justice, and the American way, it felt authentic because it came from somewhere. It came from a time when, we needed to be united as a country, as a people, against a literal evil in the Axis. So I'm right there with you, Bunny. Yeah, red, white, and blue with red and gold. It's coming. I know we already have the Chinese Superman, but look at what Marvel too, but Marvel and DC do this. They always try something out with like a new character, like they did it with John. Like, hey, maybe we'll change his slogan, and then they test the waters, and then once the main blowback happens, they can go, oh, and by the way, it's the real Superman who's going to do it too. It's not like subtle is the word I was looking for. Yeah, condescending Josh, not even American in this news offends me. Honestly, it should. Imagine, I'm just gonna like pull out a bunch of other like national characters. Imagine if you took Captain Britain's flag away from him and he was just Captain, and it like, that's weird. Or if you had any of the Great 10 from DC renounce their Chinese citizenship or alliance. Like, yeah, China sucks. We all know that, but that's still their team, like they still fly that flag. Or if we were looking at G Gundam, where Domon Kashu rocks the flag of Japan proudly. If you take that away, you kind of take away the whole premise of the series being a worldwide boxing competition. It's this weird thing where it's homogenizing everything. Pardon me. That American way aspect of Superman was a big part of him. Like I was talking about, it's the Kansas upbringing. It's the fact that he was created in America. It's the fact that culturally he is a American thing. And you take that away and you're just smoothing out everything that makes him unique. Yeah, everybody fights for a better tomorrow. Truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. That's kind of like the better tomorrow thing is what all of us, even regular average Joes, are fighting for. And so when you make that your sort of like slogan, again, it sounds super fake and corporate because it's sort of like, duh, that's what we're all doing. But when you have truth, justice, and the American way, Superman there is not only saying that he's, he's proud of who he is as an American, but he's also fighting for American values, which, again, we went over this with Captain America. You do not have to agree with current government practices or people or whatever to believe in American dreams or values and such, which are the values of, pull yourself up from the bootstraps, carve your own path out of life, like be free to do whatever you want. And so when you take that away from Superman, it just takes this big angle away from him, that freedom, that angle of we can be better. He fights for what we could be, just like Captain America does. And if you take that away, like you've taken away the American connection from two of the best paragons of that ideal ever, which is Captain America and Superman. Two heroes who are the top of their respective pantheons at their publishers and are big American icons, but have always been there to stand for what we can be, should be, should achieve to be, rather than genericism. They don't shy away from who they are. They fight to make things better, essentially, which is the huge irony of it all. Let's see. The mistake was making it an official thing. They already often modified it. As the writer of Action Comics said on Twitter, he's not forbidden from using it. They just create drama. Absolutely, Porg. That is 100% on point. We know that, that saying has had some modifications through the years. It's not always been exactly truth, justice in the American way, but it's been some variation of it, like truth, justice, and my family, or whatever, just whatever the current plot is. It's one of those lines that you put in and everybody goes, oh yeah, he said it. Yes. Of course, even I'll admit that I say it, but it's also like I was saying with the Tom Taylor making John Bye last week during the Black Pill stream. It is all just to create drama. Tom Taylor's whole thing when he went and did all these rounds of interviews about John being bi, and he was espousing stuff like, oh yeah, this isn't a big thing. I just want to normalize it. I hope to one day live in a world where a character being bi isn't that, we don't have to write articles about it. And it's like, but dude, then why are you out there promoting it like that? Why are you agreeing to do these interviews? It's the same thing that John always gets mad about with actors of different races taking roles that, race swapping roles. You don't have to. Nobody is ever pointing your head saying you have to swap these, or you as a black character have to take the white character role. And they're not saying, Tom Taylor, you have, well, they might be telling him this, but I'm sure he's super happy to do it. Go out and promote this. It is all just drama, because drama is the easiest way for it to get attention. I mean, obviously, look at where we are. Hey, Iron Sword Savant, what is going on? Yep, exactly. Superman will always be seen as the embodiment of truth, justice in the American way. It's what he's always been seen as. Captain America as well. It's literally in his name. And that's a great point to make, Iron Sword, because aside from truth, justice in the American way, how many of these other types of things, this is where I'm at with comic books, is because they, when I do Bounding and articles, one of my favorite things to do is get the images for the articles, especially when they're comic book stories, because I get to go to the Marvel or DC or Image Wiki and just browse covers and look for the coolest pictures to find. And obviously, you see in my citations in the articles, I always put, volume whatever, issue whatever, yada, yada, yada. In the past, up through the 80s, you maybe had volume 2 of a book, like Superman volume 2 or Detective Comics volume 2. I went looking for Superman images for this article. There are now 7 volumes of action, or of Superman, just the Superman series, not Action Comics, but Superman. And the problem here is how this relates to, or not the problem, but how this relates to what Iron Sword is saying, is that every time they try to do this, every time they try to change something super iconic to a character, it never sticks. It always inevitably gets reversed. And yes, sometimes there are changes that stick, but when fans love them and they become a huge part of their lives, people are pissed when it's changed, and they almost always revert it. I'm going to point to recently Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. Nick Spencer's run just wrapped up. His final thing was to undo the One More Day storyline and have Peter and MJ finally come back together. And you know what? That's what fans wanted for years. They wanted for years for Peter and MJ to be together, because that was a development in the books that helped define that character, helped make him who he is. So when you try to change things like this, you can't. 'Cause this is the equivalent of like say you're raising a teenager, right? And it's like all of a sudden one day they start wearing all black. And you're like, what the hell? Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you wearing, or not what the hell, because you're being a good supportive parent, but you're like, hey man, why are you wearing all black? And they go, oh, this is who I am now, mom. Like, this is it. And you go, but I know you. Like, just yesterday you were wearing a super bright like t-shirt and blue jeans. Like, this is very weird. Inevitably, that kid will eventually get to the point, and I mean this with pretty much 98% of rebellious teenagers. They get to the point where even if they don't go back to wearing those clothes, they go, oh, those clothes are good. They're not that bad. They're just not for me. And that's literally what happens here. It's the Superman is or DC is the teenager going, look at me. I got rid of the American way. I got rid of it. Like, we're progressive now. We're inclusive. And everybody's going, okay, but that's what it's been for like 40 years or like way longer than that. I can't do math. So like 80 years in the 40s. And it's been his motto through worse times than, like, depending on your opinion, you think Trump is a bad president. Like, we went through 9/11 and he kept the American way. We went through both, like, Iraq Wars 1 and 2 kept the American way. Vietnam, he kept the American way in his slogan. So essentially, DC is going, look at my new outfit. We're going, you dressed the same before. Eventually, give it a month, give it a couple years, they'll go, we're bringing it back. Or it's going to stay changed, but authors can do whatever they want now. Because you can't erase a crucial element of a character's story like this. It just doesn't happen. As much as you want to reboot and redo everything to fit into the now, just will never take, because of exactly what Iron Sword said right there. Miss Natty and the 100 Girlfriends, All Might and Stars and Stripes and My Hero Academia are more American than current DC. Oh, dude, absolutely. Especially Stars and Stripes and All Might. Like, one of the best things I've ever sort of heard or like taken into my viewpoint of how I view things is that the best way to have somebody create media about a specific country is to have another country sort of culturally appropriate it. And what I mean by that is when a creator from another country looks at a country and goes, man, I really want to, make a story in that setting or whatever. They put in a lot of effort and they get to the roots of what it is. And because they're from the outside looking in, they can sort of see, what does this country represent? What are all of its things, like, from a third party view? And so when you have a Japanese person do American stuff, you get All Might, Stars and Stripes, but then you also get stuff like Hideo Kojima's Metal Gear Solid, which is some of the best, like, American political intrigue you'll ever get. And on the other side, you have things like Ghost of Tsushima, where Ghost of Tsushima made completely by a Japanese developer or an English developer, American developer, about Japanese settings, and that game rules. So that's the thing, is with the people in our creative places, like our positions of creative power now, there is such a shame in being American because of the fact that, I'm going to get a little political here, but like, they have TDS, the Donald syndrome. Like, it overflows their mind to the point where anything associated with him is awful and evil and must be eradicated. Again, not my viewpoint. I'm playing devil's advocate. And so we get things like Captain America giving up the American dream, or Superman abandoning the American way. And it's just, I don't know who this helps. If you were on the site on Friday, I published an article about, thanks to the master of the TDS, by the way, speaking of TDS, he put me onto this article that revealed woke culture has done nothing for LGBT mental health. All the character swaps and advertisements and everything saying, oh, we're great now. Look, you can see yourself. You're represented. Oh my gosh. Or, oh, you can't say this word anymore. You have to use this other word. Doesn't do anything, or does the least amount possible, because all the other problems, the bullying, the mental health, that's all still there. So all these people are doing so where I'm going with that is the anti-Americanism is the same thing. That culture isn't going to do anything for them. I don't know anybody really who, aside from these always online blue checkmark weirdos, who take the rhetoric that far. Like, it's insane. Like, this country rules. And does it have its problems? Absolutely. As many do. But it's like, it's still a great place. And I don't know. I'm just really upset again with the anti-Americanism coming from it. John saying better tomorrow is funny. He was in the future not long ago with the Legion of Superheroes. He already knows tomorrow. Bingo. That's exactly like, that's the thing. I'm going to get through the comments, but I want to come back to the sport because it relates to sort of like bringing current events into comic books. But I want to get through everything here first. Luisi, I'm going to start calling you that. Luisi, the metal. Structure is important. Imagine building a house with no frames. The house will collapse. Absolutely. And I think especially in relation to this, we are removing the framework here. It's kind of like, what, I don't even know what I'm imagining, but it's those things where you like they use it in lots of different construction. I'm just forgetting like what they do, but like you sort of put it up and then you build the thing inside of it and then you let the walls down. And then that's sort of how you like build it and get something there. Right. Like that's kind of what they're doing now, which is DC is pulling the rope and all of those structure, like the supports, the frames are coming out, which is, you know, his Superman's origin. How was he created? Who was he created by? When was he created? You know, all this stuff, which would add to his American identity. They're removing that. So you've got this freestanding sort of house, which in that first minute of pulling down the ropes is like, ooh, look at that. It's a house without frames. It can stand on its own. Incredible. But everybody knows that, you know, maybe not in a day, maybe not in a month, but when it rains next, that house is collapsing. And that's exactly what they're doing here. It's, you know, this storyline's only going to carry maybe 2 issues of comic sales before everybody goes, I don't care. I don't care about John. I don't like this. I don't like. Also keep in mind that they're bringing in this slogan with John Kent Superman, who is just the dumbest Superman we've probably gotten ever. Like I had to go back to Reign of the Superman there, and I was trying to compare him to Eradicator, and even Eradicator being a semi-villain was way better than John now as a Superman. Oh, really? I'm not kidding about the Lexcorp slogan. I literally checked the Lexcorp wiki, and that's their slogan. That's incredible. That's the best. And I guarantee you, nobody, like maybe 2 people in the DC offices remembered that. You know, it's like I'm going to say it's, I don't even know what, like, it's going to be like George Perez, because he's like the only classic writer they still have in the building. It's like George Perez remembered, and then some intern who's like 19 years old who just loved comic books and was so excited to work at DC and has all this knowledge and is having his dreams crushed. Those 2 people remembered that Lexcorp had that slogan. Wait until WB slaps a sensitive content label on Richard Donner's Superman because of the truth, justice, and the American way line. Oh, dude, not just the line. There's that scene where Soup straight up flies the flag up to the moon and replants it. Remember? I think I want to say it's 2 or 3 where he goes around the world. I think can't remember exactly. Been a while, but yeah, Josh, I give it I just give it like a year. Give it like a year. Oh yeah, exactly, Nerdigans. The fact that Twitter was loving the slogan, I was laughing. Dude, Twitter, what is it? Because it's like Tumblrites is how you refer to people who use Tumblr. So Tweeties, I don't know. People on Twitter, blue check marks, of course they eat this up because it supports everything they believe. It makes them, remember what I was saying about them thinking that Donald Trump is the worst evil ever. It makes them, when you do this, when you support their way of thought, it just reinforces it in them. And it just helps this divide keep going. Instead of going, yo, you need to shut up. America's not that bad. We've had worse times. We've had better times. But you need to chill out and learn some history. Like I don't know where I was going with that because I kind of lost my train of thought. But that's what we need to start doing with them. Ah, yes, Roof Korean, I am wrong. Something is wrong with America. And China needs to fix it by sending that nifty new rocket to DC. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure the Chinese audience will love Birds of Prey, too. Or nondescript countryman who fights for nothing, stands for no. Like, if you want to bring China into the equation, Roof Korean, how much are they laughing their ass off at us? Of course, the country is an awful communistic hellhole, but for their leaders who want to keep everybody in that hellhole, they've got to be laughing and dying because they're looking at one of their biggest opponents actively try and kill their own patriotism. like I feel like the Chinese couldn't have planned this better if they set up like a spy network to sort of infiltrate, which I know some people like Drew think they might have, but you know what I mean. So yeah, no, it's pretty bad. Oh no, we jumped. No, I didn't. What if you took Captain America, his nobility, and his powers and gave them to Peggy Carter? Well, you get that one What If episode, which is bad, which is just that literal, like, oh, you are this person now, transfer over. That's exactly kind of what it is now. You're stripping away what makes this character, and you're sort of only selling him on image recognition. You're literally, there's no, in this modern environment, DC and Marvel don't care about fostering good stories anymore. They literally just care about marketing the character as the product, which of course there's always going to be an element to. It's capitalism. It's, you know, a business. It's making stories for money. But we all know what I'm talking about when I say the sentence, books used to have heart, and they don't anymore. They don't care about their characters. They just throw your story down and screw it. We'll reboot it in 3 months, you know? Yeah. Or if he gave his shield to Sam Wilson, yeah, exactly. That's the same kind of missing the point that you'll always get. And of course, like, I'm not against the legacy characters. You guys know I always talked about that. But there are good ways to do it and bad ways to do it. And Falcon Cap was a bad way to do it because, while it made sense for Cap being like Captain America's sidekick for pretty much 30, 40 years to take up the mantle, makes sense. They did it. They went the activist route with it, which made everybody sort of turned off from the idea of turning over Captain America, because Rogers would have never told anybody do better like Sam does. Yeah, Nerdigans, thank God Superman is enjoying food in Japan in Superman versus Meishi. If you guys haven't seen that, it's literally just a manga where Batman or Superman is going around Japan and eating food. And it's fantastic. It's fun. Superman is like Superman. The Japanese are doing so much better with our own properties than we have done in years, since probably before 2012. We've got the Superman manga that Nerdigans is talking about. There's a Joker baby Batman manga, which is insane, where like the Dark Knight Joker is fighting Batman, and Batman falls into the vat of acid, and for some reason, instead of Jokerifying him, it turns him into a baby. And so the Joker, with his whole thing of like, you're my opposite. We have to foil, like, you're my foil. I play off of you. That whole thing, because of that, he decides, I'm going to raise Batman because I need my like nemesis. So, and it's just fun. Joker is still dark. He's still scary. They don't throw away his character. They just, it's what if character in this situation, you know, and they play it straight, which I think is the biggest thing missing. There's no haha irony or, oh, haha, this is so funny. Can you imagine? It's Joker's raising a baby, and that's a story. Buckle up. Yeah, as my wife, who is Australian, says about YouTube me, you are American, a Marine, you carry your liberty with you. Dude, even without a Marine, like, I absolutely believe every American should be taking their be proud of the liberty we have. It's not perfect. There are things, again, there are problems here, but it's still far better than China or any other, far better than Britain, the most surveilled place. London is the most surveilled city in the world, by the way. Not China, not not Pyongyang, but freaking London. So, Britain, go away. Let's see, what else do we got? Yep, exactly, Iron Sword. When they say normalize, just know that what they really mean is ruin. Pretty much, because there is something to be said about normalization. Like, I do believe, if you have natural sort of diversity that we always sort of talk about, I think that's great because it can quote unquote normalize seeing other people. I mean, we took care of that issue in like the 60s, 70s, and so on and so forth. But the problem is, when they say normalize, it's not that subject matter they're trying to normalize. No. It is their specific way of thinking that they want to normalize because they want that to become the normal. We have had stories about gay characters, about black characters, about dead characters, living characters, whatever, forever. And nobody's ever had to normalize it. But, or rather, they've never had to declare their intent to normalize it. But now they do. And that's because it's not the topic. It's not the social issue they're addressing. They're trying to normalize. It's literally just their bludgeoning viewpoint. They don't like, oh, we want to normalize trans people. Okay, do you? Or do you really just want to normalize the fact that when you use trans people as a bludgeon, everybody should just sit down and accept it? That's what they're trying to do when they use normalize. Thank God Michael B. Jordan producing the Static Shock live action. He's saving DC right now. I agree on the one condition that I really hope it's just they do what they did with Todd Phillips and they're just like, stay away from the DCU. They thought they were like punishing Todd Phillips, but that worked out the best for the Joker. And I think if Static Shock goes its own thing and doesn't try to tie into the mess that is the DCU as it is now, I think it could be fantastic because Michael B. Jordan is a nerd. He does care about these properties. So I'm with you there, Nerdigans. I do have some hope for Static Shock. And plus, Static Shock is just one of the most like grounded, relatable, easy characters to adapt. So as long as you don't give him one of those really bad live action Marvel superhero suits with all the lines and the scales, and you just give him his like baseball hat and a coat, I think we're good. Son of Kal-El isn't selling so well. 68K for the first issue, 40K for second. They have to find ways to make it relevant. Hands down, 100%. I was pointing this out to John, maybe in private, possibly on last week's Black Pill stream. But all this bisexual Superman stuff doesn't happen for 2 more issues. And all the things they've been promoting before, like when they were promoting the new slogan for John, that didn't happen for like 2 more issues too. It's insane. They are literally they are giving away their book because they need those pre-order numbers, because they need those sales numbers. I don't see Superman Son of Kal-El existing in all right, hold on. Let me qualify that. In a sane world where sales and market and the market made sense, I wouldn't see Son of Kal-El getting past maybe 12 issues. I know 12 is kind of what DC likes to aim for with their longer series. Like I know Swamp Thing or the Infinite Frontier Swamp Thing started out as a 12 issue series that eventually got cut. What was the book I was really liking that got cut? Crime Syndicate started out as like a 12 issuer and got cut to 6. And yeah, I know I saw that Jay Lee's in here. He knows why I like that book. It's all about that Donna Troy Superwoman. Bobby Campbell facts. We're at 13 days till Halloween. Too spooky. And also, we are 13 days away from Halloween, but it is now the day you can unlock Sora in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I only bring that up because his creator, Tetsuya Nomura, loves playing numbers game with the Kingdom Hearts stuff. So he was announced so Sora was announced, and 13 is a big number in that game because that's like what the villains are. That's their organization. So on the 5th, they announced Sora for Smash on October 5th, and he releases today. So that's 13 days till the day he could release, and then it's 13 days until the next month. So just fun little thing I like. It's those crazinesses. It took 30 years for Spidey and MJ to be together, and then it was like Spidey starts in 60s, 90s. They have the whole marriage and or I think they get married in the 80s, and they have like a kid in the 90s, and then that's during the Clone Saga, and Norman steals her, and it's a mess. But then we got the awesome Spider-Girl series out of that. But yeah, it took 30 years for them to develop that. Then one more day comes around, maybe 10 years after this, after they get married and have a kid, and people lose it because they had established that. They built up this great thing, made it such a piece of his character, such an integral part of his character, and then they just went, no, people don't like that. People don't like that element of Peter. And it's just like, I hate you. Like there's really no other way to put it. Yo, Black Chosen Orc poet Scotty Hale, speaking of spiders with his Spider Sona, his common writer Zio Spider Sona there. Iron Sword. It's a great point, Kabuto. They want things to change from the original plot premise to fit their sensitive society needs right now. That's why true fans hate this, because they know what's happening. 100%. And the best way you can sort of see that in action is when you look at look at any publisher, basically Marvel or DC, and then look at what happens when they have an event. Secret Wars, or what are they doing now over at Marvel? They had that, I don't know what they're doing now, but I know they had the thing where the Squadron Supreme became the heroes of the world and the Avengers were erased, whatever. look at all those like sort of side books or the mainline books, and then look at the events. Because in the mainline books, you have all the people trying to push their weird agendas. They're trying to change the characters to fit their own sensitivities and ignoring what the readers want. But then you get to those event books, and because they put the big talent on there, they put, you know, I'm thinking mostly DC right now because I'm kind of thinking of Dark Knight's Death Metal, and all the Marvel events lately have just been trash, just straight trash. Yeah, they put their best talent on these books. They deliver real comic book stories. And they play with how fantastical everything can be. And you get crazy scenes like the Atom shrinking Swamp Thing to go to like a microcellular level to, you know, help nurture a seed inside of a villain that explodes his arteries and blows off his arm. Crazy things like that. And what I'm getting at here is, yes, that's why the true fans always kind of come back for an event. You know, when an event book gets announced, I always see, myself included, I'm always like, all right, let's check it out. Let's see, maybe we're getting something this time. And you know what? At the very least, we might at least get a couple entertaining scenes. But every other, I'm not picking up Champions. I'm not picking up Batgirl. I'm not picking up even any of the Batman books because none of that matters. It's all experimental. It's the mainline books are for this new wave of Zoomer creators to practice their crap out, test it all out, and the main books are where you go for your big comic entertainment. And the problem is, in the big event books, they still have to be like, they still have to keep in mind what everybody is doing over here. Unless you're writing something like Dark Knight's Death Metal, where you can just throw it all out the window. Throw out the idea or throw out the concept that you have to adhere to continuity because you're erasing continuity. You know what I mean? Like, that's why DC always did those reboots a little better than Marvel, because they can never, ever, commit. M-word episode of South Park, or it's like we're living in the M-word episode of South Park and the parents have already gone to jail. Oh, dude, just replace the concept of, instead of it being the M-word, make it like, I don't think Trump's that bad, or even like, I don't like woke, and that is, you know, go to jail. And now we've got, it's exactly the rest of it, Nerdigans. The inmates are in charge of the asylum now. And the problem is everybody on the outside of the asylum is going, dude, that's bad. Like, we've got the SWAT team. Everybody's going like, we need to take care of this. Inside, you've got all the inmates going, we're great. This is the best the prison's ever been in years. And then you've got idiots on the outside, like politicians talking to all the people going, no. We're trying out a very new progressive way of policing or of jailing. The prisoners are in charge of it themselves. They get the keys. They can walk out whenever. No. This is fine. If you think this is bad or dangerous, you're a bigot. So yeah, we are already kind of in this crazy sort of, whatchamacallit, Lord of the Flies type like society. But instead of kids, it's emotionally stunted adults. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, they're very bad on the bringing current thing, like that John's cover. Like, guys, just ask Zatanna to say the atmosphere is clean of the effect of men backwards done. Oh yes, okay, hold on. That's also what I'm going to get to, I think, right now, Porg. Yeah. Let me get back to that. Yes, Jay Lee, modern audiences trope. That is always going to be one of those sort of warning signs that they're going to. I don't even want to say woke anymore, because it's not just wokeifying things. It's like taking all the edges off. Like I was talking about earlier, where they were like taking away the American way element or the American aspect from Superman, erases sort of a big part of him and makes him more generic. That's kind of what they're doing. They're sanding down all the edges here because modern audiences not only translates to woke crybabies, but it also translates to the biggest audience possible. So you have to, for that goal, like we see, you know, that's been Sony's goal for their video games they've announced, for their movies. Marvel and DC have obviously been going towards that the last couple of years. When they want to appeal to a modern audience, they just want as many people as possible to buy their generic crap. And guess what? You know, you might go to a McDonald's and it's fine, and you're hungry and it's fine. And even on one day, it might even be really good, and you're surprised at how good that hamburger was. But everybody knows that if you go to something like Slater's 50/50, right? And not everybody can afford it, and it takes people can afford it. It's just a little pricier. It takes a little longer. The burgers, they cook it, they do a little more to prepare it. That burger is going to be a lot better because it was made specifically for the types of people who will attend that restaurant. That restaurant, Slater's, is not going, how do we make our burgers appeal to everybody else? It's like, no. We're making burgers that are special. If you want that type of burger, you come to us. You want another one, I'm sorry, man, go somewhere else. Nothing against you. It's just we don't serve that here. So obviously Marvel and DC are like the McDonald's and such, and now we've got things like manga industry, some, I want to say like Boom Studios, IDW to an extent, and then like Comicsgate are the ones who are like, we don't need to appeal to everybody. We're going to make our product. It's going to appeal to who it'll appeal to. Go, and obviously that's way more satisfying inside. Is DC doing all this to distance themselves from Jerry Siegel? I don't think so, because to do that, they would have to straight up abandon Superman. Because what Siegel and Schuster own are everything that appears in that first issue of, Action Comics with the green car. So things like Superman himself, the Clark Kent identity, Superman, the logo, the costume, his specific powers on that specific character, the Kent family, Superman being rocketed to Earth from Krypton, all that stuff they couldn't use. And the problem with that is that and the problem with wanting to get away from Siegel, even if they really wanted to, is that all of that stuff is so baked into other DC characters now that you couldn't. I feel like Blue Beetle's got to have some connection to Krypton exploding at this point, or Hawkman knew there's just something there that you're always going to have that Superman appears thanks to Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, just like you'll always have the Batman courtesy of Bob Kane and Bill Finger, even though Bill Finger did none of the work and deserves none of the credit. Is it? I forget which way it is. Dang, I think maybe Kane stole it from. Either way, look it up, guys. The Batman creators, one of them did all the work, and the other guy kind of was just like the idea man who said, "Hey, what about the Batman?" And the other guy did all the work, and now they both get credited equally, and it's kind of garbage. So no, I don't think they're trying to distance themselves from Siegel, unfortunately. Yeah, my whatchamacallit, Final Fantasy VII battle noises. Yeah, Peggy Carter ain't no Stars and Stripes, that's for sure. Not at all. Yep, I got to agree. Iron Sword 2010s eras have completely ruined Western comic interest because of all the woke-tivism. It's bad, and it's not just the fact that the characters and stuff are woke, it's the people behind it are woke, so everything else starts from that point, and they care more about being seen as and perceived as woke than writing a good story. That's their number one agenda, is always, how do I write this story but make it woke? How can it be woke? Or how can I make sure that it stands as a woke story? Instead of like, what would be a good story? What would make sense in this universe? It's the worst. Yes, there's Twisted Wonderland, which is based off a Disney game, but damn, is it a good manga? And Kingdom Hearts manga is fantastic. Kingdom Hearts manga is great. I love Kingdom Hearts. I'm a huge Kingdom Hearts fanboy. Kingdom Hearts manga makes me laugh. It's just so genuine in its humor and how it treats the world. Haven't gotten into Twisted Wonderland. It's not exactly my thing. For those out of the know, it's a Disney mobile game that's sort of like a Fire Emblem, Three Houses, Harry Potter sort of situation where you're a student who gets sorted into a house with Disney villain, like headmasters inspired by Disney villains and stuff. So it's very much for not for me. But I was actually, it's funny you bring that up, Nerdigans. The other day I heard about it for the first time on like Saturday, and I looked through all of the designs, and it's interesting. I don't really have much to say about it. I just think it's funny that you brought that up. Where am I going? Oh no, it's all repeating. Let's see. Yes, the last Duel bombed, Slavic one. The new Ridley Scott movie did bomb. That's insane to me because I kind of like, or it's not insane to me. What's insane to me is the fact that I forgot about it. I didn't hear about it until it bombed. Like, I think I may have heard about it when it was in development because it's got like Adam Driver and stuff. And then I heard the news that it bombed. It cost like $100 million to make, and it made $4 million over the weekend. Like, damn. I don't even really know. I'm gonna have to look into it more, but like I gotta look at what the decision, like the reasoning was behind that. Like, yeah, there you go. Thanks, Porg. Finger was the one who spoiled his rights. Kane was instrumental in the fact that he came up with Batman and he made the first design, which was just this blonde guy in a red unitard with like a Batwing contraption, and then obviously Finger went out and drew most of the other stuff. So yes, Kane was definitely instrumental. I just personally have an issue with Kane getting equal billing as Finger and always getting that sort of created by me down in the like bottom right of all comic issues. That's just me. Okay. Let's see. So now that I kind of caught up with the chat, we're talking Bill Finger, Kane. We've got the last Duel bombing. I want to touch on what I was saying with Deviant Porg and bringing modern things into journalism or modern social issues into comic books. And maybe this is where we wrap up. Maybe we go longer. Who knows? Join me for the ride. So what Porg is talking about here, so he's saying, yeah, they're very bad on the bringing current things in, like that John Superman cover. Like guys just ask Zatanna to say the atmosphere is queen of the effect of men backwards, done. So in case you didn't see, let me see if I can pull it up. In one of the, again, upcoming issues of Superman Son of Kal-El, which they, again, have promoted way ahead of its release because you got to get, we need those, we need that promotion. We're desperate here, fellas and ladies. We need your attention. So this is the upcoming cover where you see Superman with his boyfriend and Aqua Lad protesting for climate change. One note I also want to make about this cover that really bothers me personally is DC and everybody has been promoting this as watch Superman join other heroes in protest of climate like change or whatever on the new cover of Super blah 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 blah. There is one other hero, and it is Aquaman or Aqualad. And it's a grammar thing, but it bugs me because it's almost like you're selling more than you're giving them. Whatever. It's sort of irrelevant. But what I want to touch upon is I want to talk about why it is near impossible to do one-to-one socio-political, economic, environmental issue stories in comic books like this. Specifically taking real world, whether they be like woke talking points or just political points or just anything in general that can cause like sort of major not even major divides, but it's just issues at hand, right? The reason you can't ever really do them in modern comic or in comic books in general is because, like Porg says here, there are too many things that you have established, publisher, Marvel, DC, IDW, Image, whatever. You've established too many things that make none of this make sense. Like so many of the problems we have in the real world don't make sense when you think about a world that superheroes exist in. Like I think of, you want to talk about murder rates or gun violence. I'm betting that in DC, it's probably super low. Like, I'm not going to say it's gone, but it's got to be low because everybody knows at any second, like not only could a superhero be around at any second, but even if you look everywhere, the Flash or Superman could right there when you pull the gun. You have no idea. So things like that. Crime rates are obviously down. Atmosphere, we're doing damage to the atmosphere. You have Zatanna say that spell backwards, like clean the atmosphere. Or you have Mr. Terrific make a machine. Or you have Superman use the miracle machine he used during Infinite Crisis or Final Crisis and in Dark Knights. That still exists. Or you use or if you're in Marvel, you use the stones, right? You use the Infinity Stones, or you could even use like the Scarlet Witch's power, or Miss Marvel's or Carol's power to like absorb radiation. I don't know, but my point is, these things they're all so easily solvable that you can't have your comic book characters sit here talking about them like they're real issues, like they're people in our real world. And I think that's one of the big things in what annoys us, you and me, dear audience, the comic readers, the actual fans who aren't just here for claps and applause. I think it bothers us because not only are you sitting here trying to lecture me on something, like I bought this book to be entertained. I didn't sit here for a huge lecture. That's not what I came for. I don't want to feel like I'm an asshole while I'm reading this book. Oh my gosh, where was I going with that? So like that's the first thing. I don't want to pay for you to treat me like crap. But then the only way they can convey these stories is by having either really bad one-to-one analogies, like, oh, they're fighting for alien lives matter. Yeah, totally not subtle at all. Like they do something like that, or they just shoehorn it in like what they're doing with John. And I think that adds to the second point, which is it's insulting to us as fans because it doesn't make sense. There's no room for it. Like there's so much you can do about climate, right? He's Superman. I'm sure he could go do something like Aqualad is Atlantean. They have huge, powerful magic. I don't know if huge is the right word for magic, but like super powerful magic. You're telling me none of them can do any of this? It's sort of the whole like Civil War, Marvel Civil War. It is an interesting concept, but it's near impossible to enforce when we have threats like Galactus or Annihilus, which is like, I'm not going to wait for your approval, Maria Hill, for me to go out. Like, it doesn't logically work like that. And it just kind of breaks the entire, what's the word? Like the world. Like, you're going to tell me that bureaucracy is literally going to stop the Avenger or the Fantastic Four from going to go stop Galactus? Not in the real world, not even in the Marvel world. So don't pee in my cereal and tell me it's milk when I can clearly tell that you're just peeing all over everything I've loved. So that's my little sort of mini rant on modern issues in comic books. Things like, it's really hard to have like discussions on police brutality when the cops are barely anything in the DCU. How often do we see like Gotham cops relying on Batman or Gotham cops relying on Superman? They're basically they're like, if anything, superheroes in these worlds are they fill the roles that police fill right now. Like the first responders to danger, to emergency. The only real difference is that you can't call them up. And if you're like me and you've lived in some pretty bad areas, sometimes calling them up doesn't even help or have them come. So it's just the same thing. So it's just, and we see these characters, so we know that Superman or Green Lantern or Wonder Woman, they're not going to go brutalize somebody. Wonder Woman might, depending on who it is, if you want to point at Max Lord, but they're not going to do any of these sort of things that persist today. And that, I think, is one of the most disheartening things about it all, is that these books are supposed to show us worlds that are better, worlds that can be better, worlds that have their problems, but they still have heroes. They're still moving forward. We don't see that anymore. Now these, like, I've always thought about this with science fiction the most, which is in the 80s and the 70s, 60s, even 90s, like early 90s. Sci-fi was a lot about sort of what can humanity do? What lies for us out in the future? How do we get there? How do we, science, like even look at the superheroes. A lot of them are invented from men, on their own ingenuity. Flash was a scientist doing a bunch of things and he got hit by an accident. Bruce Wayne went out and trained himself to be Batman. You have all of those sort of, oh my gosh, I totally just blanked on where I was going with that. This is going to be really embarrassing to watch on the playback. So in lieu of that, because I completely lost my train of thought and I don't want to sit here for 5-10 minutes just trying to get it back, I'm going to go to the chat and see what everybody has to say about, I don't know, what I was just doing. Yeah, exactly, Porg. The atom could reduce all waste to a subatomic level and just throw it into a little fire, and then boom, you're done. And yeah, it's easy to whine about other people needing to use airplanes when you can fly at supersonic speeds on your own. This is the equivalent of whining that diabetics are using up all the insulin. Bingo, bunny. That's exactly what it is. If you're whining about them and you can fly. Maybe go find some of your super smart buddies to help you study you to make them fly better, like, or something, you know. That all this is when you're a superhero, when you have the power to change things, like Superman does with climate change, or when you have reporters like this. Really made me angry in the last couple of weeks when the news media was talking about the Gabby Petito case, and a bunch of articles came out like, oh, why does nobody talk about non-white like victims? Like, this is such a bad thing, which is a thing that happens in true crime, unfortunately. But you know whose fault it is? It's not mine. It's not yours. It's not the people responding to the news. It's the reporters. So if you're in the power to change this, so don't come to me. If you're coming to me and saying it's my fault, all you're doing is virtue signaling. This is virtue signaling. When you have the power to change things, and you, instead of changing things, you just signal. You just try and make yourself look like you're hitting all the points, all of the talking points, everything on the news. That's what you want to hit. And it's infuriating. It's just straight up infuriating. Yeah, the X-Men have terraformed Mars. Like, we've seen other planets like that. Oh man, the kid right here, literally holding a sign that says, "There's no planet B." First of all, there's like 52 other universes. Second, there are other planets that are in your solar system that can be terraformed. We know that John lived on freaking Mars. And third, we've seen the construction of artificial planets. One, like, you know, War World. But two, we've also seen Mogo. Mogo was willing to help. And, you know, we've seen refugees taken to Mogo and live on Mogo, the Green Lantern planet, forever while they got him a new planet or did something. So that's the thing. Like, this entire thing is dumb. Make Earth cool again? I'm sure you could, John. Just go up in the air and ice breath away, like all that stuff. Go to Antarctica and blow on the glaciers. Like, this is all, it's nothing. This is all to make them feel good about themselves by making you feel bad about yourself. And it is the most destructive rhetoric ever. Yeah, Taylor doesn't even know the continuity of the book he's working on. He talked about people not listening to scientists on Krypton and what happened, but Bendis retconned that. Rolgozar destroyed Krypton. Yeah, that's the thing, Porg. So I remember back when I was a teenager, I remember reading a bunch of articles and interviews and stuff with Marvel creators and DC creators, because, you know, I wanted to be a writer or an artist at one of these companies so badly. Not anymore. Now I'm going indie. But they used to always talk about how, yes, there is a Bible. There is a Bible in the publishing house, like at the offices, and we have people who have studied these Bibles, and we go to them when we have continuity issues or we want to make sure of something. I don't know if those people exist anymore, because there are just so, or if they exist, I feel like they don't get like acknowledged at all anymore, because there have been so many, just absolutely so many like plot points and dropped plot points and continuity errors and things like this that, again, I don't know. I know they always say like, oh, we had a great bat meeting or whatever, like a bat team meeting, but I don't know if everybody, like, who's talking to who's editing over. I want some quality control. I want some quality control, because at least then I could go, hey, your book, like, it might be well written, but it just sucks. Like, and that would be fine. Like, I would be way happier with that. Yes, Nerdigans, it literally is just a bad yaoi dojin, straight down to the pink-haired Asian boy as the love interest. Yeah, the superpowers are in their hands, and yet the writers don't think that they're powerful enough to fix 99% of humanity's problems. Yeah, that's the problem. And I know what they're going to do with John, because Superman's big thing is like, hey, Superman, why don't you ever interfere in like wars or any of this? And he kind of goes, I need to help, you know, humanity needs to carve their own path. I can't be here holding their hand, guiding them, telling them what to do at every inch of the way, because otherwise you're going to become reliant on me. I'll be like a dictator. I don't want that. But it's never been like, you know, when the Earth is in danger, Clark goes to help. There have been so many times when you open up a Superman book and the in media res is him stopping a comet or something. So yeah, John is going to pervert this, and he's going to take it as, oh, Superman shouldn't do anything to help. I don't know what he's going to do, but it's going to be bad. And I definitely think you're onto something, Iron Sword. I I have a better analogy for this faux Superman. He's like an Olympic runner complaining that there's wheelchair ramps everywhere. You humans need to quit using the cars and planes I don't need. Kinda, yeah. That's actually a really good analogy too. It's looking to create an other instead of looking to sort of work together or to like address these issues, especially because like there are ways to talk about climate change that aren't stupid, like that don't ignore DC's continuity. Or you don't even have to talk about climate change because you realize this probably isn't the best area in which to discuss this subject because of all these things people can poke holes in. You know, well, what about that? What about that? What about that? And if your only response is, well, maybe, but he's not, nobody's gonna believe you, right? So I always think of, because whenever we as like a community complain about that way of storytelling, of bringing these modern issues into the comics, we always get the average pushback of comics were always woke, comics always did this, comics always talked about social issues, and they did, but they also did them pretty subtly sometimes, and if not subtly, it wasn't the focus of entire books. It was a one-off special issue, and that made them way more impactful. I don't know how many people read the original Hellblazer here. Fantastic Vertigo book about the OG John Constantine, as we know and love. But there is I believe it's unpublished. It's completely finished. It's out there on the internet to find, but it never got published. I think it might have been published in a hardcover collection, but it's basically all about how it's a one-shot story where a kid performs a school shooting, and John kind of shows up in the aftermath and is like, there's nothing I could have done. I don't know what I could have done. All this magic and demon stuff, my powers wouldn't have allowed me to get here. They wouldn't have allowed me to know. The best I could have done was, save people after the first shot rang out. And it's this really heavy, hard issue that makes you go, whoa, John's right. Like, this is a thing. And it makes you think about that problem, because you look at him and go, wow, someone with superpowers couldn't solve it. That must make it like, this is an issue I've got to think about. And it sticks with you because it comes out of nowhere. You weren't expecting that. But now I get every book in the line is telling me that I have to respect gender pronouns, or I have to think Trump is evil. It's A, first of all, it's annoying because you're just beating a dead horse. And B, for the people who would hear those messages and would be swayed by those messages, it's getting lost in a sea of noise because it's no longer special. It's just the everyday. And you're hurting yourself. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Iron Sword Savant is heading out. This was a great discussion stream, and given that it has been about an hour, I think it's probably a great time for us all to call it. So I would like to thank everybody for showing up. I know we didn't really get to a lot of the fandom stuff, but it's fine. It was really just the other trailers. Flash, Batman, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League, and Gotham Knights. Not really that big of a deal. We could probably talk about them on Wednesday. So I will definitely be back on Wednesday for the Black Pill stream. I hope to see some of you there. I know I will. Before that, I will probably be back Wednesday or tomorrow for another Bounding Babble. After Wednesday, John comes back, so he will probably take over the reins. Aside from that, you can follow the site at Bounding Comics on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Like and subscribe on the channel. Follow my channel, Okabuto Studios. Easy search on YouTube. I'm doing a lot of gaming streams lately while I work on a lot of sort of produced content, which is a lot of manga recommendations, video game discussions, a lot of discussions about why things don't work, kind of like I was having today, like why things don't work in modern media, kind of like we were having today. It'd be really cool if you guys check that out. Okabuto Studios, at Kabuto Writer Mav on Twitch and Twitter and everything else. And until then, it's been fantastic. And take it easy, everyone. I'll see you soon.